Hey guys, I've decided to do a redo of this part of the garden. This is right next to the pink garden, and this was previously a flower and herb garden, and the plants were really old. The soil hadn't been changed in years, and it really has not done well in our heat wave. We've had a heat wave and a drought. I decided to make it easy on myself and go with a plan that uses succulents. So I did want to mention too, we've got a lot of crows here making a racket, but I'm going to try to work during this shady part of the day. It does get quite sunny, but I did want to mention I raised these up as well because I was constantly having to level up these pots. So I brought these cinder blocks over, and they were behind my shed. So I'm using the pots I had and some cinder blocks I had left over from my bench project that I disassembled. And so I'm ahead of the game, but I'm gonna fill all this with new soil and some succulents from around the garden and a couple of new succulents as well. I'm gonna try to make it very interesting. I have a poor little boxwood really suffering in the heat, so I think it's gonna get some new soil in a new pot, and I am going to use this little ground cover succulent in my garden. I'll just put little pieces of that in various pots. I'm gonna kind of mix it up, guys, but right away I have access to some succulents right from my own garden. I have a pot back here in a remote corner of my garden, and it has a little bit of variegated sedum down there, and it's not watered very often, and it's competing with this taller autumn joy sedum, so I think it's better used in my new succulent garden. I think I'm going to dig that up and let the sedum, the taller sedum, take over the pot. And I think a little fresh soil and some TLC, it should do really nicely and give a little bit of brightness to my new succulent garden. This little succulent planter with hen and chicks has completely filled itself, and I'm going to use some of those, and if I put a few of them back in, it'll fill right back up in no time. But those are the easiest plant I have in my garden. I think those have got to be at least 10 years old. Well, all I can say is I am so happy that I had this gorilla cart, because I bought 2 big bags of this flower and vegetable soil plus fertilizer by Stay Green. And guys, I buy whatever's on sale. I'm not going to worry about special succulent soil. This is going to be in here for a couple years. It's really hot where I live, and it's going to dry out and drain just fine, especially being on top of these cinder blocks. Isn't it fun to have a blank slate to work with? I'm so excited. But boy, does this gorilla cart make schlepping these big bags of soil and mulch. Oh, and I got some rocks. I'll be adding some rocks at the end. So it makes it a lot easier to bring that all the way around here to the backyard. So let me show you the 2 plants I did find at Lowe's. I got the Jewel of the Desert Garnet ice plant, and that says I wanted cold hardy succulents, and that says it is hardy down to -20 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. And I never get down to that cold, so this should do just fine in my climate. And it's a low watering plant once it's established. So this should give me some blooms. Sometimes succulent gardens don't have a lot of blooms, but I bought two in this case that will bloom. And the other one's also an ice plant. This variety is Monrovia, and it's Ocean Sunset Orange Glow ice plant. So that's going to be really pretty. That one was a little bit pricey. The other one was $6.48. This one's $13.48. It's a bigger container. And by the way, guys, this is the planter I robbed the hen and chicks from. It was completely wall-to-wall plants. And as you can see, just by leaving a quarter of the plants and spreading them around, it looks like a totally planted planter, and that within one season will completely fill that planter. And by the way, this planter is older than me. This has been in every house I've lived in, and it is probably over 50 years old. So some of these concrete planters can last a long time, guys. I love that. It just reminds me of my childhood. Okay, I've got the succulent garden all planted up, and what I love about it is it's a mix of colors and greens, yellows, purples, reds, mix of textures, but you kind of have to go in close to appreciate them. And I like that about this garden. Some gardens are pretty from a distance, and this is one that you really need to go close up and have a look. In the first pot, we have a stone crop sun sparkler wildfire, and I got this one at a little nursery near me called Good Earth. So I think that's a beauty, and it's going to add a nice touch of color to my succulent garden. And I gave it its own pot. It was in a pretty big pot on its own. And guys, this is probably overdoing it as far as dirt, but these are the pots I had. So I put 1 to 3 plants in every pot. And let me move on to pot number 2. I have Ocean Sunset Orange Glow Ice Plant. And these are Delosperma plants. They're deer resistant and extremely cold hardy. So that's in there. And then this little variegated, I think it's called a tricolor. I think it's supposed to have a little pink on it. This little variegated one was from another pot in my garden, and I just moved it over here. It's very small, but I think it's gonna fill out this side of the pot. And then over here, I have the small stone crop sedums there that I transplanted out of the boxwood container that was looking less than beautiful, but these will bounce back. These are gonna love this new dirt, some fresh soil, and some water too. I just think the soil it was in was so spent that there was no way they were gonna thrive. I also got this one at Good Earth. This is Stone Crop Sun Sparkler Lime Twister, and if you can see there, it gets kind of a lemony lime color, so I thought that was a really pretty texture. I thought it contrasted well with the very fine texture of the sedum that I had in there. So that is Lime Twister. And then moving over here, in each of these 3 pots, I put some of my hen and chicks from my other planter, and that other planter is going to fill in nicely. But for now, this one has just the hen and chicks, and then these 2 are combined with some other things over here. This one has some Angelonia cuttings I just ripped out of the ground, but guys, I know they're going to root in here. They were stone dry. They were in the ground, hadn't been watered in a very long time, and we have a heat wave. But that's the nice thing about succulents, is that you can just root a little piece of it and they'll survive in the worst conditions. I mean, they might not look their best, but these cuttings will do just fine and root in. Then I have a little bit more of that very fine stone crop sedum that was in the boxwood pot, and my other hen and chicks. And then over here, I have a stone crop wildfire piece, and I just put that in there to root. That's gonna root in just fine. It just fell off in transporting it home. And more hen and chicks from my own garden. And this was the Jewel of Desert Garnet ice plant. So both of these ice plants that I picked should be cold hardy, and it looks like both of them are pink, which suits me just fine because this is next to the pink garden. So guys, those are my containers for now. I have to say that the nurseries were kind of low on things. So, you know, they don't want to get in a lot of things when the heat of the summer's upon us. And who wants to water all those things? But I will say that the ice plants that were at the Good Earth nursery were covered with flowers. So I think once this is a little bit happier, it's gonna have some more flowers in it and look really pretty. And that is a peachy pink. I'll show you one, just one over here that's looking good. So that should look really nice. And I'm excited to see about how some of these cuttings do. So guys, I think this is gonna be a great solution for this spot. It sure beats a dead herb garden and looks a lot neater. And oh, I did add in the rocks. I wasn't too precise about where I put them because in a matter of no time, it's all gonna spread out and cover those rocks. Anyhow, but succulents do like to grow amongst rocks. So I thought that would be a good thing to put on there. And it keeps it looking neat. But thanks so much for joining me. I have to say, I think this one is my favorite. It's really gonna put on quite a show. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you have some succulents to enjoy in your garden.